Well, it's a busy week ahead here on the continent as the French President Emmanuel Macron is set to be visiting the continent once again, but this time around he will also have a pit stop here in South Africa. Also happening on the continent is the double troika that will be taking place around the issue around the Cabo Delgado insurgency, and will this double troika be able to resolve on whether or not SADC will be deploying troops to Cabo Delgado to quell the tensions within the SADC region, and considering also the stop this march from Total, which has been implemented, and whether or not, whether you have the visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron, whether that will be an opportunity to deal with this issue that has also impacted the French company Total. Our foreign editor, Sophie Mokoena, now joins us in studio. Sophie, good evening and welcome to the show. Let's first start over here. Macron's visit on the continent once again. Where is he going to be stopping?
Well, he is visiting South Africa. This trip was supposed to happen last year, but unfortunately due to COVID-19, he couldn't visit South Africa. Now he is coming. But when he engaged with African leaders in Paris, France last week, he also pointed out that he will be visiting Rwanda as well. And therefore, a trip to Africa, where he's visiting South Africa on Friday. And of course, he will also stop over at a very important region in the Sahel region, where you know that there are challenges on issues of security.
Issues of security also here in the southern region when we focus on Cabo Delgado, and one of those companies that are actually affected by the insurgency is also a French company. Yes,
as you know that tomorrow the double troika is meeting in Mozambique to discuss this issue. We know that there are proposals on the table, but last week we had the Minister of International Relations in South Africa saying that the leaked memo or information hasn't been finalized yet. It was just the technocrats who have collected this information and proposals in terms of what needs to be done to ensure that there's peace in that region. We know that we are told that in one of the recommendations is to deploy troops in that area. But the minister was quick to indicate that this is not a final decision, and the leaking of that memo didn't do justice to what they are doing currently. Today, the ministers of international relations and foreign affairs are meeting to prepare a final agenda for the leaders so that they can also have a final word on this matter. Now, the issue of Total, you are correct. President Macron being in Africa and in the southern region, in South Africa, the neighbor to Mozambique, but also South Africa has interest there, and South Africa being involved in providing security in that important project, both private sector and also some people who have invested in that area. Yeah. I am definitely sure they will talk about the issue of the
Tell us quickly about Mali's, what were the developments in Mali. Now we see that the interim president and the prime minister have resigned. What happens now?
Clearly, there must be another interim government. And you know that yesterday the African Union indicated that they have to return to civilian rule as soon as possible. And they had promised earlier on the military that elections will be held next year. So we'll see. But I think the African Union must take a decisive action by expelling Mali until the matters are sorted out. But unfortunately, the Peace and Security Council of the African Union, particularly at the heads of state level, hasn't had any meeting to discuss this matter.
And I know that you didn't want to do this, but this is our final show. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you on the show, with Noma Bolani as well on the other side. We say goodbye to our African Perspective viewers who have been with us and also following some of our content on social media as well as YouTube.
Yes, our commitment to Africa is unquestionable. We'll continue to cover the continent where possible and have those stories in different platforms. But I think, thank you so much to the viewers on the continent, a strong following on the continent, but also internationally when you look at the response from the digital platform based on the content that we generated on this platform. And Noma Bulane, our boss behind there. Thank you.
And that's great laughter in the control room. Let's